Hi, this is Gail, and today I want to share a devotion with you called Common Sense is Becoming Uncommon. You know, I'm always surprised when I hear educated people say some of the, excuse the wording, but stupidest things I've ever heard. Our modern world just seems to have lost logic, lost common sense. Common sense is becoming very uncommon. Um, for example, most people claim that biblical creation is some kind of a fairy tale. Could never happen. So they have created a ridiculous sci-fi story claiming that our beautiful, intricate, detailed world was simply some accident. 2 Peter 3 through 7 tells us this is going to happen. Also, there are people who are defying science and the Bible and experience to claim that a man can become a woman or a woman can become a man. You know, Genesis 1:27 at the very beginning of the Bible, God clearly explains that God created male and female. Well, what else? Well, there are organizations that go out of their way to make sure they can protect nursing and pregnant whales. And they're applauded for this. But attempts to save human babies from torturous deaths are mocked and despised in our country. Worldly stupidity is even finding its way into the church, sadly. You know, in 2 Corinthians 5:17 through 21, we're told that Christ gave us the ministry of reconciliation. And of course, that means reconciling the world to Christ, showing them the way to salvation. But very often, some of the very people who are sharing Christ refuse to reconcile with their friends and their families. All of these modern psychological techniques like boundaries are becoming popular. And instead of reconciling, people are learning to put up walls. And another problem in the church is the avoidance of difficult situations. You know, 2 Timothy 4:2 says, preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season, correct, rebuke, encourage with great patience and careful instruction. Yet many pastors and teachers avoid the subjects that are part of our modern culture, that are corrupting our culture and corrupting the church. Jesus calls us to self-sacrifice. He says, whoever does not take up their cross and follow me is not worthy of me. That's strong words. That's in Matthew 10:38. Yet many Christians insist that we must be happy or wealthy, or that people must esteem us and appreciate us, or our lives are just no good. You know, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. We're told that in Proverbs 1:7. And Romans 12:2 is what we really need to listen to, because it tells us to refuse to be conformed to the world, but to be reformed, to be transformed by the Word of God. So let's do that, dear friends.